That is a Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland. Which makes sense, I mean, because Epstein's island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton, so... Oh, I told you it's my last year. What are you going to do about it?
Mr. President, are you going to sue Trevor Noah? Last night in a post, you alluded that something could be coming.
Yeah, well, he said that I spent time on Jeffrey Epstein's island. I didn't. I mean, he's a lightweight, this guy. He's a terrible, I think he's terrible. I thought he did a terrible job at the Grammys. I thought the whole Grammys was terrible. I watched part of it. It's not watchable. But he was a lousy host. I'd say not as bad as Jimmy Kimmel, but pretty close. And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, I mean, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people that there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me.
So let me get this straight. The President of the United States just watched the Grammy Awards, stayed up past midnight, and then hopped on Truth Social to threaten a comedian with a lawsuit over a joke at an awards show. And not just any joke, a joke about Epstein's island, which, when you think about it, might be the single worst topic for Donald Trump to draw more attention to right now. But here we are. So, today we're going to break this whole thing down. The joke itself, the legal threat, and whether Trump actually has a case or whether filing this lawsuit would be one of the biggest legal mistakes of his career. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Trump's lawyers are probably begging him not to follow through. All right, let's set the scene. February 1st, 2026, the 68th Annual Grammy Awards. Trevor Noah is hosting, for the 6th and final time, by the way. The show is on CBS, and it's actually the last time the Grammys will air on that network before moving to ABC next year. Now, throughout the night, there were political moments, artists wearing Ice Out pins, Bad Bunny telling the crowd Ice Out in his acceptance speech, Billie Eilish saying no one is illegal on stolen land. It was a politically charged night from start to finish. But the moment that set the internet on fire came when Billie Eilish won Song of the Year. Trevor Noah steps up and says, and I want you to pay close attention to the exact wording here because it matters legally. That is a Grammy that every artist wants almost as much as Trump wants Greenland. Which makes sense, because Epstein's island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. The crowd erupts, some laughs, some gasps, and Trevor, knowing exactly what he just did, says, I told you it's my last year, what are you going to do about it? Well, Donald Trump told him exactly what he was going to do about it. Just hours later, Trump posted on Truth Social calling the Grammys the worst. Virtually unwatchable. He called Trevor Noah a total loser and a poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC. And then came the legal threat. Trump wrote that he'd be sending my lawyers to sue Noah for plenty. He even referenced his previous legal wins against ABC and CBS, writing, ask little George Slopadopoulos and others how that all worked out. Also ask CBS, get ready, Noah. I'm going to have some fun with you. Now, as of today, no lawsuit has actually been filed. A check of federal and state court dockets shows 0 filings, so right now, this remains a Truth Social threat. But let's take it seriously and analyze what would happen if Trump actually followed through. To win a defamation case, you generally need to establish 5 things. And when the plaintiff is the President of the United States, a public figure, the bar gets even higher. Let's walk through each one. Element 1, a false statement of fact. This is where Trump's case starts falling apart before it even begins. Go back and listen to what Trevor Noah actually said. He said Trump wants Greenland because Epstein's island is gone. He needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. Now, Trump interpreted this as Noah claiming he spent time on Epstein's island. But that's not actually what Noah said. Noah made a joke about Trump wanting a new island and mentioned hanging out with Bill Clinton. It's a comedic inference. You have to make a logical leap to get to the conclusion that Noah was stating as fact that Trump visited Epstein's island. And here's the critical legal point. The statement was made during a comedy performance at an awards show. It wasn't presented as a news report. It wasn't a documentary. It was a punchline. Courts have long recognized that jokes, satire, and comedic exaggeration are not statements of fact. Element 2. Publication? This one's easy. The joke aired on national television to millions of viewers, no dispute there. But publication alone doesn't win you a case. Element 3. Actual malice. This is where public figure defamation cases live or die. Under the landmark 1964 Supreme Court decision in New York Times versus Sullivan, a public figure has to prove actual malice, meaning the person who made the statement either knew it was false or acted with reckless disregard for the truth. Donald Trump is the sitting president of the United States. He is the definition of a public figure. So he doesn't just have to show the statement was false. He has to prove Trevor Noah knew it was false or didn't care whether it was true. That is an extraordinarily high bar, especially when you're dealing with a comedian delivering a joke at an awards show. Element 4. Fault. Closely related to malice, Trump would need to demonstrate that Noah acted negligently or with intent to harm. But again, the context here is comedy. The Supreme Court addressed this exact type of scenario in Hustler magazine versus Falwell back in 1988. In that case, Hustler published a grotesque parody of Reverend Jerry Falwell, far more offensive than anything Trevor Noah said. The court ruled 8-0 that public figures cannot recover damages for emotional distress caused by parody or satire unless it contains a false statement of fact made with actual malice. That's the law of the land, and Trevor Noah's joke falls squarely within that protection. Element 5. Damages. Trump would have to demonstrate that the joke caused him actual harm, either to his reputation or financially. And this is where things get almost comical. Let's be real for a second. The Department of Justice released over 3 million pages of Epstein files just days before the Grammys. Trump's name appears in those documents. His historical relationship with Epstein is well documented. The 1992 Mar-a-Lago footage, the 2002 New York Magazine interview where Trump called Epstein a lot of fun to be with. None of that came from Trevor Noah. That's all public record. So how exactly did one joke at the Grammys damage Trump's reputation beyond what already exists in the public domain? And financially? Trump's net worth has fluctuated by billions of dollars over the past year. The idea that a single Grammy joke caused him measurable financial loss is frankly absurd. Now here's where things get really interesting. Trump loves to threaten lawsuits, and sometimes he follows through. Let's look at his recent track record, because it tells you a lot about what might happen here. First, the ABC settlement. Trump sued ABC and George Stephanopoulos after Stephanopoulos repeatedly stated on air that Trump had been found liable for rape. That was inaccurate. A jury found Trump liable for sexual abuse, not rape, as defined under New York law. That's a meaningful factual distinction. ABC settled for $15 million to Trump's presidential library fund, plus $1 million in legal fees, plus a statement of regret. That was a case where there was an objectively false factual statement. Then there's the CBS Paramount settlement. Trump sued over the editing of a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris, claiming CBS edited her answers to make her look better. Paramount settled for $16 million, but notably, no apology was included. Legal experts overwhelmingly considered that lawsuit meritless, but Paramount settled anyway because they needed federal approval for their merger with Skydance Media. The Writers Guild called it a transparent attempt to curry favors. But here's the flip side that Trump probably doesn't want you to remember: the Hillary Clinton lawsuit. In 2022, Trump and his attorney Alina Habba filed a massive racketeering lawsuit against Hillary Clinton, James Comey, the DNC, and dozens of others, alleging they conspired to create the Russia collusion narrative. The judge threw it out, calling it a case that should never have been brought. He sanctioned Trump and Habba nearly $938,000 for filing a frivolous lawsuit. And just this past November, a federal appeals court unanimously upheld those sanctions, with the court writing that Trump is a prolific and sophisticated litigant who is repeatedly using the courts to seek revenge on political adversaries. That's not some liberal judge talking. That appeals panel included a Trump appointee. They all agreed. But let's say Trump ignores all of that and files the lawsuit anyway. Here's the part his lawyers have to be terrified about: discovery. If Trump sues Trevor Noah for defamation, Noah's legal team gets to ask questions. Lots of questions. Through interrogatories, written questions under oath, through document requests, and through depositions, where Trump would have to sit down, raise his right hand, and answer questions under oath on camera. And what would those questions be about? Well, since the joke was about Epstein, Noah's lawyers would have every right to probe Trump's relationship with Epstein. Every dinner, every phone call, every interaction. They'd ask about the Mar-a-Lago footage. They'd ask about the 2002 interview. They'd ask about the flight logs. They'd ask about why Trump said he turned down an invitation to Epstein's island, because that admission alone confirms he was invited. We've seen how Trump handles depositions. In the E. Jean Carroll case, Trump's deposition was, to put it gently, not his finest legal moment. He confused Carroll with his ex-wife in a photograph. He made statements that were later used against him at trial. Now imagine putting Trump under oath and asking him detailed questions about Jeffrey Epstein. His lawyers know this is a minefield. The potential for self-inflicted damage is enormous. This is exactly why most legal analysts believe Trump will never actually file this suit. The discovery alone would be worse for him than anything Trevor Noah said on that Grammy stage. There's one more wrinkle worth discussing. If Trump does sue, would he go after just Trevor Noah, or would he also name CBS? In Trump's Truth Social post, he specifically mentioned CBS, and in personal injury-style litigation, plaintiffs often cast a wide net, suing everyone who could potentially be held responsible and, more importantly, everyone who has deep pockets. Here's the strategic calculation. If Trump sues just Noah, Noah can probably mount a strong defense and win. But if CBS is included, we've already seen what happens. CBS, through Paramount, paid Trump $16 million to make the 60 Minutes lawsuit go away. They've demonstrated a willingness to settle rather than fight. And once you pay the bully once, you can expect him to come back for more. There's a real possibility that if a lawsuit is filed, CBS might settle quickly to avoid the headache, leaving Trevor Noah to fight on his own. But even in that scenario, Noah's defense is strong. The First Amendment protects artistic expression and comedy. The joke was delivered in a comedic context at an entertainment awards show, and the Supreme Court precedent from Hustler versus Falwell is directly on point. So where does all of this leave us? Donald Trump has threatened to sue Trevor Noah for defamation over a joke at the Grammy Awards. As of right now, no lawsuit has been filed, and there are very good reasons for that. The joke wasn't a statement of fact. It was comedy. Trump is the ultimate public figure, meaning he'd have to prove actual malice. The Supreme Court has explicitly protected satire about public figures since 1988. Trump would struggle to show any measurable damages from a single joke. And the discovery process would open up the one topic Trump clearly wants to keep out of the spotlight, his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Meanwhile, Trump's own litigation history works against him. His lawsuit against Hillary Clinton was thrown out, and he was sanctioned nearly $1 million for filing it. A federal appeals court, including a judge he appointed, called him a serial abuser of the judicial process. Could Trump file the lawsuit anyway? Absolutely. He's done it before when the legal merits were questionable, but filing it and winning it are two very different things, and the risk of discovery in this particular case might be the single greatest deterrent. So Trevor Noah can probably sleep easy tonight, and if Trump does follow through, well, as Trevor himself said on that Grammy stage, what are you going to do about it? I'll be watching this closely and will report back the moment anything changes. If you want to stay on top of this story, make sure to subscribe. It's free, takes 2 seconds, and helps us keep breaking down the stories that matter. I'll see you in the next one.